Alrighty, so we're back in the garage today. It's hot outside, so I don't think I've been here that long, but I've been doing a bit of work on the XW. You'll see there's a bit of paint being taken off here and there, and I've started working on this guard, and I've got the blinkers and stuff out, but done a little bit of work. Probably not as much as I'd like, but it is middle of summer here. If you look inside, I pulled out a lot of the interior here, and most of it's looking pretty decent. So yeah, we're actually today though looking at paint stripper. So I've been sanding, done a bit of sanding at the back here. You can see here at the back, and down the back here. And it's a long and painful process, so thumbs up to panel beaters out there. I don't know how you guys do it every day, but I guess you got the tools, you got the space. But here I am trying to do mine. So what I'm trying to do is strip down this panel here, and I'm going to try some paint stripper. So this so far has taken me an hour, maybe a bit over an hour's worth of sanding, and I've primarily used the AEG rotary orbital sander and a little bit of this old Ryobi sander that I've had, but mostly the rotary orbital sander. So we're going to try and strip this with paint stripper and see how it goes. So I'll take this off a bit. I've got a scraper here. It's going to smell. I'm a bit worried about how it might smell inside, so I'm going to keep it small just to test out how good it works. So I might just do this little strip here, and that'll do for this test. So wish me luck. Okay, so on the GoPro, we're going to be doing this panel. A few things. I do have a mask, 3M mask here with filters on it because this stuff's pretty toxic. I'm going to be using this paint stripper. This is Septone. I got this from local auto parts place, super cheap auto here in Australia. Also, just for reference, this rust converter is what I use to treat the panel after it's been stripped back, and it puts a phosphoric acid coating on it, and that just keeps it from rusting and having to prime it straight away. And also we've got some degreaser here which I used beforehand, gloves, some safety equipment, and a scraper, and I do have some goggles here which I need to use. So I'm going to be using these goggles, protect my eyes, put a mask on, the gloves, open the garage door a little bit, we'll go from there. Okay guys, so in my car currently, in my build we have a 221 6-cylinder standard 6 that come with the Falcon 500. This is the engine that I'm going to be putting in the XW. This is currently a 302 Cleveland. It does have some work done to it. Like you can see, all this is Plus it hasn't been in the car for a while, but it was perfectly fine when I pulled it out. It has had some work done to it, the block's been decked. It's got some aftermarket pistons and stuff. I think they were Sterling Moss pistons from memory. It has an aftermarket cam, but I cannot for the life of me remember what the duration degree and stuff was. You know, we've got slightly different ignition system here, not the standard one. This actually got seized, the original one actually got seized in there, which was chaos trying to get that out. It does have standard heads. It has a standard Ford inlet manifold, which I believe is a 4-barrel one. And it has currently, I think, a 650 Holly with vacuum secondaries on it. And this is what's going in there in the XW, but it will be, I think I'm going to do a rebuild of this engine before it goes in. So pretty much likely to do a stroker kit, either to a 383 or something like that. Do a bit of research before I do that. So we'll have to pull all this down and put it in. But first things first, we need the car in a decent sort of situation before we get this bolted in. We also have a single roll gearbox here, which I originally had behind that. So this is the single roll gearbox I originally had behind the 302 over there. This is actually being sold to fund, or actually help fund a C4 or an AOD transmission. So maybe someone will get some use out of this. This is a good gearbox, nothing wrong with it. That's what's going in there. I'm going to keep everything pretty much standard to keep the costs down. I'm mainly going to work on the bottom end, and then we'll see what budget looks like for the heads and stuff like that, inlet manifold. But I'm more interested in the bottom end being solid, because then the heads and stuff can be pulled off while it's in the car and upgraded, inlet manifold and stuff like that. So definitely going to put a solid bottom end in it. But first, when this gets pulled apart, we'll have to see what the block and everything's like, because I know it was bored. I think it was 30 thou over from memory. Whether it needs to be done again, I don't know. Have to be checked. And but I know it hasn't done a huge amount of work. I spent, you know, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 on this engine back in the 90s when it was fully rebuilt. So we'll see. Anyway, back to the car. Alright, so we're back today. It's the next day actually. I've pretty much finished off this front guard mostly, and I scraped all the paint stripper off, and I have a few thoughts about paint stripper versus sanding. For one, paint stripper is a lot easier, but it's way more messy, but not terrible. The smell of the paint stripper is not even that bad. I did find though, if you can see here, that there's a residue left of the paint, even though I did wipe it with a wet cloth. But if I just rub off those like paint streaks from when I was wiping it, we can sort of get that off, but that's neither a big deal. You can see where I left a bit of a wet rag on the bonnet, not with that water streak there, but this has already been treated with some rust treatment, and it's got that sort of grey tinge on it now instead of that shiny metal. It's got that grey finish, which essentially is the phosphoric acid just coating that, so it actually looks pretty good. Definitely think I'll do paint stripper with as much of the car as I can. I think the sides are going to be a bit tricky because, you know, the paint runs. It didn't really bubble the way I expected. It kind of just went soft and mushy, and then just needed to be wiped up. So yeah, I think yeah, I'll definitely be doing at least flat surfaces with paint stripper, and like these side ones you want to be careful with your garage floor and stuff, I think, because I'd say a lot of the paint will end up dripping on the floor, so you want to cover your floor properly. And then obviously just clean it off, but you pretty much should get most of that paint off, although I did get quite a bit of that off beforehand. I think it's got 3 or 4 layers of paint on here. So I think I prefer to go paint stripper, even though it is a bit messier. So as long as you're prepared for it, I think it's alright. And then I just basically got rotary orbital sander, just cleaned it up, took off any of the residue, any of the remaining paint that was left, and we're all good to go. Then treated with the rust converter. It's got the phosphoric acid coating, so I can basically leave this as it is, and it should be okay for when I guess get to take it to a panel shop at some point. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good success going to paint stripper. That's my opinion. If you have experience in how to actually do this, this is the first time for me doing all this stuff, so I'm learning as I go. But if you're a panel shop and you know the best way to do this, I'm all ears. Anyway, if you're doing your own build, good luck. Thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.